We're going to be doing some basic maintenance on this Stihl ms-251. You want to have chainsaw scrunch, if you have a sharpening tool, sharpening kit, steel sharpening kit, you want to have one of these little weird gauge thingies that comes with a sharpening kit, and a flat file, screwdriver, brush, just basic cleaning stuff, because you want to make sure you get in there. Maybe even an air hose, other things. Let's get to it. First thing we want to do is we're going to remove these top 3 screws right here on this 251. These are screw-in screws. They're not quarter turn screws, so you will have to make sure you get this all the way screwed out. Take your scrunch, break them loose, spin them out. Make sure you get them all the way loose. Have your chain brake, pull that cover right off. On your newer style Stihls, they'll have this round, a little heavier duty air filter, but it is toolless, so it's very easy to get off. Just take it, counterclockwise turn, pops right off. When you get that, you want to take your brush, make sure your brush is clean. Just go through, make sure you get all the dirt, dust off the filter. You do not want to blow air through these. That can damage the filter. You can wash these in mild detergent, little soap, little water, and get that. Main thing is you want to check this seal, the sealing surface, this little gasket in here. Make sure there's no cracks, there's no air filtration. You don't want any dust particles getting into your saw around this gasket. Once you have that done, simply put it back on the saw. Same thing, quarter turn, snap, you'll hear it click, it's locked in place. While you're here, be very careful checking the spark plug, because these, especially when they're new, like this one is, they can stick, and I hate to say it, but these are very, very cheap. Stihl did not do their homework when putting these on, as opposed to the old ones that were a better affix to the plug wire, because you can pull this boot off the plug wire very easily. So you want to make sure it's very loose on the plug wire. Make sure you pinch the plug boot, and then slowly work your plug right off your plug. Take your chainsaw tool, crack your plug loose. You want to take it out by hand, you want to put it back in by hand. You want to make sure you do not cross thread it. What we're looking for here is how well it's burning. The saw is still in break-in period, so it'll be a little black. But you want this to be, if it's burning cleanly, it'll have a little brown color to it. This saw has a little oil on it. Check your gaps. If you have a spark plug gap checker, check your gaps, slightly clean the plug. Looks all right. If not, it's just easier to replace. You don't have those kind of tools, just replace it. Start it back in the thread by hand. Make sure, because you definitely do not want to cross thread these. They're near impossible to fix, and you end up with shavings down in the cylinder. Take your wrench again, tighten it, don't over tighten it, just you feel it, stop, set your plug boot, make sure it's seated well down on your plug, and you're good to go. Now you want to take and put the top cover back on if you can. Not wanting to cooperate. There we go. No idea why that's not being cooperative. Same thing. Once you get it on there, seat it, take a scrunch, screw these down, seat them good, nice tight, no problem. And there you have it. Make sure all your screws are tight. Flip the chain brake back off. Now, we're going to do your maintenance on your bar. If you have an easy adjust, you'll have to remove it with that. Take and unscrew it. The same way, it's basically the same procedure. You want to loosen it off. You want to loosen the nut off, take all the tension out of your chain, pull your nut off, make sure you don't lose that, pull it, set it aside. Now that you got it nice, now that you got that off there, take your bar, pick it up, pull it off the pin, slide it off to one side, take your chain, pull it up off your sprocket, and set that off on the side to clean for later. First thing you're going to want to do, once you got your brake off, check that. Check your sprocket, drive sprocket. Every once in a while, you will have to pull this drive sprocket off. About once a year, there's a bearing into there. You want to make sure it keeps greased. That's an often neglected thing on these, on most saws. This saw in particular, you want to make sure you have you don't want any grease or any dirt or any kind of detritus in your oiling hole here. Take your brush, just clean that off. Try to keep dirt stuff out of the oiling hole and groove. On these saws you have tank vent, which is this little silver part right here for your oil tank. These saws have a very big problem of it sucking dirt, saw chips into there, plugging it up, which doesn't allow air to go in the tank. As it oils, it'll cause the tank to vacuum lock and it'll stop oiling. Very common problem. Just try to keep it clean and you won't have that problem. On your bar and chain, if you're doing it at this point, if you sharpen your chains yourself or take them off and have them sharpened, or you want to put a new fresh chain on, doesn't make much difference. Every time you change a chain, you should flip your bar over, and probably about every 10-15 hours you'll want to at least pull that chain off of use and clean this bar. You have this bar tool, you want to stick it down into the groove, take the bar, stick it into the groove, make sure You get all that crud out of that bar. You don't have to use this tool. You can use anything that will fit in that bar, small screwdriver, whatever. You can even use the brush, get it down in that groove, clean it off. You want to check your bar, make sure there's not any real high wear spots, real bad wear spots in it. That will be something that would need the bar need to be dressed. I'll cover that in a whole other video. But main thing, if you keep your maintenance up on these, it's not too hard. You'll want to feel, you'll feel to just, there'll be just a little lip roll over on the edge of the bar. You take your flat file, just skate it down there. On every side. Just want to get that little, see there, it's not catching on your thumbnail. Both of that side are smooth. Same thing on this side. Run that file down a couple times. At about a 45-degree angle to the bar. Just want to get that lip off there. That's caused from the chain running on the bar. We'll just barely roll that edge over with quite a bit of use. You always want to, like I said, flip the bar over. If you do have the easy adjust, there'll be a sprocket mounted on this. The only thing you have to do, there'll be a nut on that little sprocket. You'll take that nut off, flip that sprocket, the adjuster, over to the other side of the bar. That way your bar wears evenly. If you do not flip your bar, you'll get grooves one side or another because your oil is always coming in on the top of the bar and going around. So you'll have uneven wear. It'll wear more on one surface than it will on the other. Keep your bar flipped. Generally, you won't have many problems. Going into reinstalling it, make sure now that you've got it on there, you're flipping your bar over. Make sure you've got your chain right. Install on the top sprocket, pick it up. If you have soft hands, this might not be something you'd want to do with gloves. It might be something you'd want to do with gloves on. It's real easy. Grab your saw back. Now that you've got your thing on, hook it on the back of the sprocket again, up over your bar studs, through your adjuster. You've got her up, got it on there pretty well. Cover back on. Readjusting your nut. You'll want it to be about hand tight. Take your wrench, tighten it up, or use your thumb wheel. You want to get it to where it's just hanging from the bottom of the bar, but just kissing it. I'm going to lift up on your bar a little bit, adjust that up. There it is, just kissing the bar. Just like that, you're ready to go. I'll take the back of your thing, really run it. Make sure you get your track right. Until I did not get it tight enough. Once it started tracking. You don't want to tighten it too tight and cause excessive wear on the chain and the bar. You want it to just barely touch the bottom of the bar. Make sure you got it good and tight. Those can't work loose. Then all you have to do, make sure she still runs. There she popped.